On this day, it was the 19th year of Wang Lin's departure from the Zhao kingdom, in the 6th month. It was also the 57th year since he had drunkenly fallen into a dream with 2 cups of wine by the roadside inn on the official road. At this time, Wang Lin was still not yet 80. Apart from the flame-scorched nation, there were other countries on this continent, but Wang Lin had not visited them. The flame-scorched nation was the last place he traveled. Here, outside the sect where Li Muwen resided, in the mountains, stood a dilapidated house. It had been built by an unknown mountain guardian many years ago and was now abandoned, with no signs of life. Wang Lin chose to live there. From this spot, he could see the distant mountain gate of the sect where Li Muwen was, and feel her presence. What is cause and effect? Do not ponder it, do not think about it. Look at the sunrise and sunset, watch the snow and rain, see the changing of the seasons. Do not concern yourself with whether these things are true or false. Do not dwell on the confusion between life and death. Just pass your remaining days silently. At every sunrise and sunset, whether it was the rising of the morning sun or the setting of the evening one, there was always an old figure sitting on a large stone on the mountain in the distance, silently gazing at the far-off peaks. Everything in this world, in this starry sky, all of it is the accumulation of karmic bonds. This is the origin of all things. Wang Lin smiled. Year after year, his figure remained seemingly eternal, always sitting there, watching the mountain in the distance. He did not eat food, nor did he have any. He had forgotten hunger and forgotten everything else. Wang Lin gazed at the heavens and earth, his smile revealing a meaning that ordinary people could not fathom. Over the years, he watched many cultivators fly out from the sect in the distance, among them, Li Muwen. This world, this starry sky, all of it, is the result of karmic bonds coming together. This is the origin of things. Wang Lin smiled, his days passing like years, years like dreams. Time passed, and in the blink of an eye, 7 years had gone by. In those 7 years, Wang Lin had gained many insights while sitting on the green stone, comprehending the laws of heaven and earth. During these 7 years, Li Muwen's sect naturally became aware of Wang Lin. Gradually, elders from the sect came to visit. Upon seeing Wang Lin in his current state and hearing his occasional mutterings, they were deeply moved. Gradually, on this mountain, by the green stone, Wang Lin was no longer alone. Around him, cultivators and elders sat cross-legged. Anyone who came here would never leave. They quietly encircled Wang Lin, as though they were listening to the Tao. Year after year, more and more cultivators seemed to be called by some force within their hearts. From the flame-scorched nation, from all directions, from various cultivation nations, one after another, cultivators arrived. Among these cultivators were those who had yet to establish their foundation, others who had achieved nascent soul, and even one who walked through the air, having reached the peak of cultivation. However, regardless of their cultivation levels, in Wang Lin's eyes, they were non-existent. No matter the cultivation level, on this mountain, there was only one place to sit, no more, no less. No one competed for space. They simply sat silently, waiting for Wang Lin to speak, which might only happen once a year. When Wang Lin did not speak, it was as if they had entered a meditative state. It was as though some invisible force here guided their thoughts, allowing them to seek a comprehension of the world. Karmic bonds come together, eventually becoming the fruit. This is cause and effect. In my decades of searching and comprehending, I have come to realize that between cause and effect, there exists something else, and that is fate. Without fate, there can be no cause and effect. Wang Lin smiled, that unspeakable smile, as he spoke once again. On this mountain, more and more cultivators sat cross-legged. Eventually, even the ground below the mountain was filled. Within a radius of several dozen miles, the mountain was surrounded by sitting cultivators. In this land, nearly every cultivator, over the course of several years, had sought out this strange feeling and arrived here. Slowly, within a radius of several hundred miles, one could see countless cultivators sitting there, facing Wang Lin, as if worshipping him. Gradually, more cultivators crossed the sea from other continents, or arrived through teleportation arrays. Among them were Nian Tian and Dun Tian from the Soul Refining sect, along with many of their disciples. There were also cultivators from the Snow Domain, led by the indifferent woman, who followed the feeling to this place, quietly sitting in meditation, listening to the Tao. In the arms of the indifferent woman was a child, one who would never seem to grow. The Four Kingdoms Alliance, Zhou Wutai, and many familiar faces from Wang Lin's dreams also arrived one by one. Yun Kezi, still as disheveled as ever, sat on the ground in the distance. And many others, Tung Huayuan, Huang Long, Su Fei, Zhou Rui, Wang Zhua, and more, appeared at some unknown time, sitting at a distance, gazing at Wang Lin sitting cross-legged on the green stone atop the mountain. Until the very end, even Vermilion Bird Patriarch arrived, breaking through the air and hovering silently above Wang Lin for a long time. He then walked to a clear space and sat down. I met Willow Eyebrows, and we became connected through fate. That is the origin of this bond. My connection with the soul refining sect is also due to fate. Whether it's Red Butterfly or anything in this world, all is governed by fate. Even this dream world, it too follows the same principle of fate. Fate, fate, fate. Fate is an external force. Its changes create causes, and when combined, they produce effects. Like a man and woman coming together and having children. The man and woman are the cause, their coming together is the fate, and the child they conceive is the effect. Wang Lin smiled and sighed softly. At this moment, through his eyes, he saw someone walk out from the sect in the mountains. The figure was as it had been in the past, dressed in white, with long raven tresses cascading over her shoulders. Her expression radiated gentleness. It was Li Muan. Come. Wang Lin's appearance was even more aged, but there was an aura around him as if he had become one with heaven and earth, as if he had become both the sky and the earth in his years of realization. He extended his right hand, beckoning Li Muan. His gaze softened, and even his voice carried a sense of longing. Li Muan's expression revealed confusion, yet a feeling she couldn't describe spread within her heart. It made her feel as though Wang Lin was incredibly familiar, as if etched into her soul, carved into her bones, even existing within the cycle of reincarnation. No matter how many times she reincarnated, no matter how many bowls of Mengpo's soup she drank, she would never forget him. Yet, there was a seal-like mark in her thoughts, preventing her from recalling everything. It was as if someone wanted to sever the bond between her and him. Unknowingly, she walked up to Wang Lin's side. He grasped her hand and sat beside her, both of them seated on a stone amidst the gazes of countless cultivators within a radius of several hundred miles. But fate and cause will eventually disappear from this world, for that is the nature of emptiness. It's called disappearance because first, there was existence. Without existence, there can be no disappearance. If disappearance doesn't exist, then there is emptiness, which is also how I understand it, an end to a certain cause and effect. But whether something is concluded or not, whether there is or isn't, it is not truly an end. It is simply emptiness. Wang Lin smiled as his left hand gently pressed on Li Muan's forehead. Under his touch, it seemed as if no force was involved, but the moment his finger landed, the seal in Li Muan's mind suddenly shattered. Her body trembled, and in that instant, she became the first person to awaken the memories in this world woven from a dream. Wang Lin. Tears welled up in Li Muan's eyes, 2 lines of tears falling. She stared blankly at Wang Lin's aged face, raising her hand to gently stroke it, her tears flowing even more. Yet within her tears, there was an undeniable sense of happiness and warmth. She didn't care about Wang Lin's aging form. She held him tightly. I do not exist. None of this exists, and that is why there is the concept of disappearance. Within this, there lies truth and illusion, life and death. Cause and effect, truth and illusion, life and death. In reality, all stem from fate and the nature of emptiness. There is a next line, and if I speak it, this dream will end. Wang Lin looked at Li Muan and softly spoke. This dream had no rest, and from the time the young man from Zhao Kingdom collapsed in an inn to today, more than 60 years had passed. Outside this blue stone, beneath this mountain peak, within a radius of several hundred miles, even extending to thousands of miles, more and more cultivators gathered. Eventually, everyone who had even the slightest intersection with Wang Lin in this dream appeared. They quietly sat, gazing at the blue stone at the mountaintop, where the 2 figures sat. Time seemed eternal, and no one knew how much time had passed. Wang Lin held Li Muin in his arms, and they simply sat there, watching the sunrise and sunset, counting the passing years together. Cause and effect cannot be severed. It is essentially empty. Cause and effect are simply cause and effect. Fate is formed and scattered into emptiness. Wang Lin's voice echoed throughout heaven and earth, transforming into countless willow catkins. These catkins seemed to come from nowhere, yet they knew where they were headed. They floated in the sky, gently dancing in the air, densely packed, and began to fall towards the ground. They landed on every cultivator within this 1,000-mile radius, as if recording their entire lives. 2 willow catkins stuck together, slowly falling before Wang Lin and Li Muin. Their connected form was as if they were holding hands, never to be separated. On that day, you watched as I closed my eyes. The sadness on your face, in that fleeting moment of my closing eyes, was imprinted deep in my heart. In this dream, I will stay with you, watching you leave, watching you wake up. I am still in this dream, waiting for you. Li Muin gazed at Wang Lin, her eyes filled with a tender softness as she gently stroked his wrinkled face, speaking softly, murmuring. Li Muin's words, the life of Wang Lin in the dream, were etched deeply into his heart, impossible to forget. Or perhaps it was that the dreamlike life had overlapped with his reality, and before him stood the valley where he and she had lived for many years. The valley saw flowers bloom and fall, day after day, year after year, leaving behind their eternal shadows, the two of them, accompanied by the sounds of a zither drifting in the air, intoxicating, unwilling to awaken. Wang Lin was unwilling to wake. In that valley, he watched as Li Muin's youthful face turned white with age and decay. The cruel scenes tore at his heart, filling him with sorrow as he stood in pain. He remembered holding Li Muin's lifeless body, crying out the loudest and most sorrowful scream toward the sky. Even if heaven takes you from me, I will bring you back. That voice echoed in Wang Lin's mind, again and again, coming from the dream, merging with all his strength. This dream, let me accompany you until the end of time. Li Muin held Wang Lin tightly, as though afraid he would leave her. With tears in her eyes, she whispered the words again, again and again. She couldn't even remember how many times she had said it. Wang Lin's withered hands reached up gently, stroking her raven tresses, his expression soft, nodding. This woman, even after her death, her shadow deepened in the 1,000 years of Wang Lin's solitude and memories, until it became everything to him. No matter the other beauties Wang Lin encountered later, like Willow Eyebrows, Li Qianmei, and all the others, none could replace her image, none could truly enter his heart. Wang Lin knew, deep down, his heart had died that year, that month, that day, in the moment he had held Li Muin's lifeless body and screamed into the sky, heartbroken. The sky lacked a color, and he vowed to spend his life searching for her. Can you bear to sever it? Can you truly sever it? Wang Lin lifted his head, gazing at the sky. In the distance, a white bird seemed to spiral in the sky, as he softly asked himself. In the 31st year after leaving the Zhao Kingdom, Wang Lin and Li Muin sat on that blue stone, surrounded by countless cultivators seated cross-legged for miles around the mountains. Wang Lin held Li Muin in his arms, smiling, as they both sought to understand the world together. Gradually, Wang Lin spoke less and less, from once a year to only speaking a word after several years. Dependent origination and emptiness, this is karma. If you understand, you may achieve Tao. In the winter of the 32nd year after leaving Zhao Kingdom, amidst the falling snowflakes, Wang Lin rose from the blue stone. His body was frail, and he could feel his life nearing its end. Only one last stretch of the journey remained before death would claim him, even if he was unwilling. This dream was so real, so real. In this dream, he was but a mortal. Death was an ending, the conclusion of a dream. But equally, it was the beginning of everything. Li Muin was still young, gently supporting Wang Lin, standing with him on the blue stone, never leaving, never abandoning. Willow Eyebrows stood afar, silently watching Wang Lin and Li Muin. The confusion in her eyes deepened over the years, until it turned into a silent pain, causing her to lower her head. Do you remember where home is? Wang Lin's voice grew more ancient, speaking softly. Li Muan's eyes filled with tears as she nodded. Take me there. Wang Lin gently stroked Li Muan's silky hair, his aged face reflecting 2,000 years of longing. Li Muan bit her lip, supporting Wang Lin. With a single leap, she broke through the void, and under the gaze of countless cultivators, they vanished into the distance. They disappeared at the edge of the sky, gone from the eyes of all, as if they had never been, as if they had never come. The wind passed by Wang Lin, lifting his gray hair, fluttering behind him. The strands of his silver hair danced and landed on Li Muan's face, intertwining with her raven tresses. The black and white mingled, as though never willing to part. Li Muan's gaze was gentle. As she moved forward, she would occasionally glance at Wang Lin, her face filled with warmth and attachment. Wang Lin watched the earth below as it flashed by in the howling wind. He saw volcanoes, plains, forests, and then the cities of the mortal world, where mortals appeared as mere dots. He didn't know how much time had passed, until the earth beneath his feet turned a vivid green. Soon, a vast mountain range appeared, hidden within which lay a secret valley. That valley, besides the Zhao Kingdom, was his second home in the dream. It was their home. The rainbow streaked across the sky, and below, countless trees swayed in unison. The sound of leaves rustling soon quieted. Li Muan supported Wang Lin, and as they arrived, they were already in that valley. The valley was vast and empty, with weeds scattered about, and a few wildflowers released their fragrance into the air. Home at last. Wang Lin's expression became dazed as he gazed at everything in the valley, a feeling of longing and sadness rising from his soul. As he looked on, with sadness spreading, his gaze fell upon Li Muan. Li Muan also looked around, and after a long while, a joyful smile appeared on her face. Wang Lin, let's not think about whether this is a dream. We are here, let's settle down, shall we? All right. Time slowly passed. The weeds in the valley had completely vanished, and a simple wooden house appeared in the valley. Year after year, the beautiful sound of the zither echoed in the skies of the valley. In the sound of the zither, Wang Lin sat on the side, leaning on a cane. His appearance had become more frail, his face covered with deep wrinkles, with brown spots scattered across his skin. Those were the spots of old age. Each spot was like a tree ring, carrying the imprint of time. He still wore his white robe, smiling as he listened to the zither melody, watching the woman sitting before him, her hands gently playing the zither. Her appearance was no longer as young as when she had first arrived here, but like him, she had become an elderly woman. This was a result of Li Muan's magic and abilities. She didn't want Wang Lin to watch her grow old while she remained young, so she chose to age with him, like ordinary mortals, counting each other's white hairs as they journeyed through the remainder of their lives. Wang Lin understood her heart, and he did not stop her. Instead, he gazed at his wife gently. His wife. There is a love that doesn't care about age, doesn't care about appearance, but only cares about the soul's stir from that one glance. There is a love that doesn't care about the passage of time, doesn't care about the separation of life and death, but only cares about the longing from that single dream. There is a love like this, in the sound of the zither, under the setting sun, in the valley, where the two elderly figures silently gaze at each other. The elderly man's smile is the same as the elderly woman's smile. He looked at her, and she played the zither, as if in this vast world, aside from each other, they had nothing else. No matter if the heavens collapsed or the earth split, no matter if day and night alternated or the world changed, in the presence of these two aged lovers, everything else was insignificant. Year after year, the white flying bird never appeared again, as if it had left from a dream. As they gazed at each other, with the sound of the zither in the air, Wang Lin and Li Muan experienced the rebirth of spring, the drifting of willow catkins and the scorching sun of summer, the rustling of leaves in autumn, carrying their shadows as they passed. They also watched the rain, the snow, and walked through countless warm winters together. This year marked the 35th year since Wang Lin left Zhao Kingdom. That year, Wang Lin felt the call of death. He understood that perhaps one day, when he closed his eyes, he would never be able to open them again, that he would leave this dreamlike world. That day was drawing nearer. That autumn, the sky was filled with withered yellow leaves, which blew into the valley, slowly swirling on the ground. One leaf was stopped by Wang Lin's body. Wang Lin bent down with great effort and took the leaf into his wrinkled hands, which were covered with age spots. Fallen leaves returned to the roots. Muin, I'm leaving. Take me on my last journey. Accompany me to Zhao Kingdom, bring De Fu, and let's go to Su City, where we'll fulfill my final promise in this dreamlike life. He didn't come back then, but this time, he will come. Li Muin, her hair completely white, filled with reluctance and attachment, supported Wang Lin as they left their home. In the vastness of the world, they transformed into a long rainbow, heading towards the distant end of the sea, to the continent where Zhao Kingdom existed. Here, it was a dream, but it wasn't just a dream. It was the result of Wang Lin's magic, the fruit of his path. The decades in the dream passed as though time outside the dream had not changed. Outside the dream, there was the Cultivation Alliance, the 4 great star domains, and the final battle between the inner and outer realms. In the decades within the dream, the war between the inner and outer realms had escalated into a life-and-death struggle. The outer armies, spurred on by the death of the Sealing Venerable, unleashed all their power in a mad invasion of the inner realms. The ancient power barrier that Qing Lin had borrowed had collapsed over 30 years ago, and with countless outer realm cultivators flooding in, the battles were relentless. Both sides suffered heavy casualties, and the bloodshed stained the stars, the blood-stained air thick and unimaginable. The 4 great star domains in the inner realm had turned into a hellish world. Amid this growing brutality, many great powers in the inner realm gave up on Yunhai and Zhao River. All their strength gathered in the Luo Tian and Kuan Su domains, making their final stand. In the midst of repeated despair, the rumors of the Sealing Venerable's death had already taken root in people's hearts. Even Qing Shui, in his form as Wang Lin, had been severely injured in a battle more than 10 years ago, almost dying. With that, the news of the Sealing Venerable's death could no longer be stopped, delivering an irreparable blow to the hearts of cultivators in the inner realm. A month ago, the Kungsu Star Domain also faced a difficult choice: to abandon the journey to Luotian and make a final stand, or to fight to the death at the hometown of the Sealing Venerable, beyond the Vermilion Bird Star, against the extra-dimensional foes. In the autumn of the flames-scorched nation, the autumn wind swept across the sea and the world, reaching the Zhao Kingdom, where it had already become winter. Looking around, the entire Zhao Kingdom was covered in a blanket of snow, as though it had donned a white quilted jacket, stretching endlessly. Only the marks left by 2 rows of carriages on the official road could be seen, their squeaky sound gradually fading away. Following the official road, one could see an inn. The inn was weighed down by thick snow, and in the desolate silence, there were no signs of life inside. This inn, which had collapsed more than 10 years ago, had crushed a few people who stayed there. After the incident, the owner had gotten into legal trouble and died in prison. As for the young assistant who worked there back then, he had quietly left, and no one knew where he went, where he had taken root, or if he was still alive, or had already passed away. Over time, the inn, which had once made a great scholar of Zhao drunk, slowly turned into ruins. Beside the official road, battered by wind and rain, it fell into neglect. The carriage, when passing by this inn, stopped for a moment. The curtain of the carriage was lifted, and a puff of warm air poured out. In this cold world, it dissipated and soon vanished. An old man dressed in white, his gaze fell from the curtain onto the abandoned inn, crushed under the weight of white blood. His eyes were filled with nostalgia. After a long while, he sighed softly and lowered the curtain. "Warner, there was once an inn here. I woke up here," said the old voice from the carriage. Gradually, the carriage moved further away. As it went farther, the sounds from inside the carriage also became fainter, until, in the swirling snow, everything was covered and blurred. Only the howling cold wind continued to blow, seemingly tireless. The time of the elderly was short. One could count the days of their return, silently watching the blue sky, white clouds, and snowflakes fall. Similarly, the time of the elderly was infinite, for their memories could forget the date of their return within the vastness of recollection. The carriage moved slowly along the official road, not fast, bumping its way toward a small mountain village at the foot of Mount Hunua. By the second sunset, the snow was still falling, growing heavier, with no sign of stopping. The heavy snow sealed the mountain, sealing the earth. Only the carriage continued silently across the ground, getting closer and closer to the mountain village. As dusk faded and evening arrived, the mountain village, shrouded in snow, came into view. From a distance, the village was silent. Especially at this time of day, even the usually alert large dogs were curled up in their dens. Even though they heard the creaking wheels through the wind and snow, they didn't raise their heads to bark. Each household sat by their stoves, warming themselves on this cold winter night, surrounded by family, bringing warmth to both the body and spirit. This warmth allowed the mortals of the world to endure through winter after winter, no longer feeling cold. Among the many houses in the mountain village, one had 2 large dogs curled up together in the yard to keep warm. Other than that, the yard was covered in snow. From the house, a faint light flickered through the yellowed window paper, spilling into the yard and dimming the snow's whiteness. It resembled the tired sunset, struggling to lower its head, preparing to leave. Through the firelight, one could see a hunched figure behind the window paper. The figure was huddling, holding a thin fire rod, trying to make the candle flame burn brighter. That was an old man, his face full of wrinkles, his eyes seemingly unable to open fully. He sat there, staring at the candle flame. After a long while, he tightened his quilted jacket and looked down at his right wrist. He was Defu. It's been many years. He should be coming back soon. Defu looked at his right wrist, where there was a golden handprint. He gently stroked the handprint, a look of nostalgia in his eyes. He had been waiting here for 35 years. He still remembered that Wang Lin had told him before leaving that he would come back, and that he should wait for him here, waiting forever. He said he wouldn't have another 38 years in his life. He will be back soon. Defu's face showed exhaustion. He leaned on his cane and stood up, preparing to rest. But at that moment, the 2 large dogs in the yard, frozen and unwilling to speak, suddenly began to whimper. The sound of the carriage wheels creaking on the snow came faintly and eventually stopped outside the yard. The door of the carriage opened, and Wang Lin, braving the snowstorm, supported the carriage shaft and stepped out of the carriage. Behind him, Li Muwen, now an elderly woman, stepped down from the carriage with a gentle smile. She stood beside Wang Lin, gazing at the courtyard and the house within, its warm light spilling through the windows. With a creak, the door of the house opened, and Defu, now also aged, stared blankly at the figure of Wang Lin standing outside in the snowstorm, a silly grin spreading across his face. "I'm back." Wang Lin smiled as he looked at the equally aged Defu. The snowstorm grew fiercer. Yet inside the house, the flames roared, providing warmth to the master and servant, who had been apart for 35 years and were now reunited. That night, the cold wind howled and the snow fell heavily, but the 3 inside the house didn't feel the chill. Instead, they basked in warmth. By morning, the snowflakes became fewer, falling sporadically. The sunlight bathed the earth. Though it couldn't melt the snow, it brought a fresh feeling to the air. Especially as the sunlight touched the snow, the land shimmered with a bright glow, so dazzling that it almost made it difficult to open one's eyes. On that morning, Wang Lin, Li Muwen, and Defu went to the gravesite of Wang Lin's parents, located behind the village. Kneeling before the graves, Li Muwen also knelt beside Wang Lin, silently accompanying him. The 2 remained in silence for a long while. "Father, Mother, this is Li Muwen, your daughter-in-law. I've brought her to visit you." Wang Lin spoke without tears, his voice steady as he held Li Muwen's hand and bowed to the spirits of the graves. Several days later, the carriage left the mountain village, heading towards Sioux City through the snow. Inside the carriage, Wang Lin lifted the curtain and looked back at the home slowly disappearing into the snow. Before his eyes, the image of 73 years ago resurfaced. He was carrying a bamboo bookcase, walking under his parents' loving gaze, turning back to look at them after every few steps until they were out of sight, before he finally turned around and stepped toward the future. At that time, he had been naive. He didn't know where his path would lead, but he knew that he wanted to ensure his parents lived a better life and that his relatives would look up to his family. Now, as he sat in the carriage, those past images blurred and were gradually replaced by the snowstorm. With a sigh, Wang Lin lowered the curtain. The carriage moved further away. In the spring of the 74th year, the carriage arrived in Sioux City. The spring of Sioux City was filled with the scent of renewal. The air, rich with the aroma of melting snow and fresh earth, was unforgettable. Wang Lin recognized that scent, following it much like when he first arrived in Sioux City. He rented a painted boat, bought some osmanthus wine, and sat with Li Muin on the boat, drinking, watching the sunrise and sunset, savoring the remainder of their lives. Du Fu, still as he was in the past, sat by the side, smiling happily as he watched Wang Lin. This is a date. He will come. Wang Lin held the wine jug, his hands more wrinkled with age, the age spots darker. He took a sip. The sound of a zither echoed as Li Muin played. Days passed, and the spring in Sioux City quietly slipped away after a few months, giving way to the June of the 75th year. In June, the willow catkins fluttered again. Wang Lin sat at the bow of the boat, drinking osmanthus wine, and laughed loudly. Man, the world is but a fleeting traveler. Time, a passerby of 100 generations. Life, a dream. How much joy can it bring? And how much joy can life bring? Wang Lin laughed heartily, and the boat drifted along the river. Ahead of them was a stone bridge, empty of people, but above it was a white bird soaring through the sky. This white bird had not appeared for a very long time, but now, as it circled above the stone bridge, the streets around it began to blur, as though everything in the world was becoming indistinct in that moment. Only the stone bridge and the painted boat stood out, conspicuously clear in the midst of the blurred world. As the boat drew closer, Wang Lin's eyes gleamed with the brightest light they had shone in over 70 years. He stood up, staring intently at the stone bridge, his gaze sharp. "He's coming," Wang Lin murmured. At that moment, the white bird swooped down from the sky and landed on the stone bridge, transforming into a shimmering white light that spread out, forming a vortex of light. From within this vortex, a figure slowly emerged. It was a young man, with white hair and a cold yet bewildered expression. He gazed around, confused, until the boat grew closer. His eyes suddenly locked onto Wang Lin. Their gazes met, and in that instant, it felt as though time itself had stopped, as though the very flow of time within this dream had come to a complete halt. Li Muin's fingers, which had been playing the zither, froze, and the sound of the strings vanished. Du Fu sat quietly to the side, staring at his right wrist without moving. The sound of the river around them faded away, and the willow catkins in the sky ceased dancing, suspended in midair, frozen still. In that instant, everything, the entire world, came to a halt. Only the young man on the stone bridge, and Wang Lin at the bow of the boat, remained unchanged. "Why don't you come over and have a drink with yourself?" Wang Lin said with a smile, sitting beside him. The white-haired youth on the stone bridge remained silent for a moment, then took a step forward. In an instant, he stood at the bow of the boat, sat down beside Wang Lin, picked up a jug of wine, and took a large gulp. He didn't look at his other self, but instead gazed at Li Muin, now an old woman, for a long, long time. "She's right here. If you can sever it, then do so." Wang Lin picked up the jug, took a sip, and spoke slowly. The white-haired youth remained silent, drinking the entire jug. "Are you blaming me? You are me, and I am you. If I blame you, it's the same as blaming myself," Wang Lin said with a calm smile. "I'm still asleep right now. The art of deception is weaving this dream, and it is not under my control. It is born from the tangled thoughts within the 3 Dao fruits." The white-haired youth murmured softly. Wang Lin said nothing. The two of them, or perhaps it was just one, sat on the painted boat, in a world where everything had stopped. They drank, sip after sip. Time stood still, the willow catkins still suspended in the air. Yet, the two of them drank many, many cups of wine. "In this life, what should we do?" After a long while, the white-haired youth spoke softly. "Why ask me? My feelings are your feelings." Wang Lin set down the jug. "Are you ready?" The white-haired youth sighed deeply, looking at Li Muin, his eyes slowly becoming blurred. "Go." Wang Lin turned his head to look at Li Muin, his eyes filled with deep reluctance. But even with that reluctance, he understood. He had to leave. This dream must end. There were so many things awaiting him, and so many people waiting for him. Wait for me, Muin. I will wake you. The white-haired youth's eyes also revealed reluctance. He silently stood, walked in front of Li Muin, lowered his head, and kissed her forehead. As the sorrow in his eyes faded, he abruptly turned, raising his right hand to the sky. Instantly, a jug of wine appeared in his hand. He gently set it down, sighed, and stepped forward. His figure transformed into a white bird, flying straight into the sky, gradually disappearing. Though he left, the world remained suspended, unchanged. Only the jug of wine remained, seemingly waiting for someone to pick it up, drink it, and end the dream. Wang Lin remained silent. In the stillness of time, there was no passage of time, yet it felt as though an eternity had passed. Wang Lin finally approached Li Muin, sat beside her, placed his hands on the ancient zither, closed his eyes, and slowly began to play. No sound echoed, yet the music spread within Wang Lin's heart, waves of sorrow and longing stirring within him. A song of dreams eventually ends, but the yearning remains. That year, that day, we met in the flame-scorched nation across the demonic sea. A chase, a desolate scene, a calling voice, and my gaze downward at a lone figure. Years passed, with many cycles of reincarnation, and we met in the two corners of the mundane world, through countless years, searching through life. Yet, when we encountered each other, we barely brushed past, confused and unaware. In the end, we reunited, but it was the moment the dream ended. Even though reluctant, even though unwilling, the song ended, and Wang Lin opened his aged eyes. Trembling, he reached for the jug of wine left behind, gazing at it. He looked at Li Muin, and in that moment, it felt as though time had no end, as though eternity had passed. That gaze was the moment the dream broke. With a silent smile, Wang Lin raised the jug to his lips, looked at the heavens and the earth, at this world he had inhabited for over 70 years, and drank the entire jug of wine. The wine was like water, not strong in taste, but it burned like fire, roaring as it entered Wang Lin's stomach. What is karma? I open the palm as the cause, I grasp it as the effect. The heavens rumbled, and the boat Wang Lin sat on disintegrated. Along with it disappeared the river, the stone bridge, the countless painted boats on the river, and the suspended, unmoving willow catkins in the sky. An invisible ripple spread from Wang Lin in all directions, and in an instant, all the buildings in Sioux City vanished. Not only Sioux City, but the Zhao Kingdom as well, and every mountain, river, sect, village, and official road, all vanished in the blink of an eye. The Zhao Kingdom, along with realms beyond it, the Soul Refining Sect, the Snow Domain, and other different nations, all collapsed simultaneously. And then there was the endless sea, the roaring waves, and on the other side of the sea, another continent, Li Muin's homeland. In that instant, everything vanished together, the flame-scorched nation, the Xuanwu nation, the demonic sea, and the valley where Wang Lin and Li Muin once lived. All of it was turned to ash and crumbled away. The existence of everything on earth scattered, leaving behind only the mortals and cultivators, frozen in various postures, standing still across the world. They did not vanish, but rather, peacefully remained in every corner of this world. Just like Li Muin and De Fu, who stood beside Wang Lin at this very moment. What is life and death? My left hand is life, my right hand is death. 2 lines of tears fell from Wang Lin's eyes. The moment his words were spoken, thunder rumbled and lightning intertwined, filling the entire vermilion bird star. At the moment those words were uttered, Li Muin, the closest to Wang Lin, seemed to be swept away by the wind, turning into a cloud of ash, dissipating. Not only her, but the countless mortals in the vanished river, and the ones left in Sioux City after the Earth's disappearance, all turned to smoke and vanished. Across the entire Zhao Kingdom, the figures of Wang Lin, whether familiar or unknown, all disappeared in that instant. Willow Eyebrows, originally standing atop a mountain peak, seemed to stand in the void when the mountain vanished. At this moment, the wind blew, and her figure blurred, carried away by the wind. Su Fei and Zhou Rui, these 2 women, had been flying through the sky. Now, with time freezing and the wind blowing, their bodies turned to ash, swept away in an instant. Wang Zhua, dressed in black, stood atop Mount Hanyue. Now, as the wind moved, his figure crumbled away. And then there was true person Huang Long, Elder Tong, and countless cultivators of Zhao Kingdom. Even beyond Zhao, Zhou Wutai, who was watching a young disciple in front of him, saw both him and the disciple dissipate together in the wind. Yun Kezi, Nian Tian of the soul refining sect, Dun Tian, and the Vermilion Bird Patriarch, all vanished from this world. Whether on this continent or the one across the sea, all the people were gone, leaving no trace. At that moment, the world had no earth, no living beings. Only the sky remained. The only ones left were Wang Lin, still shedding tears, and a Fu beside him. Only they remained in this vast world. Li Muin's disappearance and Wang Lin's tears fell quietly, sinking into the endless void, unsure of where they went. The thunder and lightning in the sky clashed, forming a massive vortex. Within that black void of blood-red light, a young man with white hair, his eyes closed, had tears streaming down his face as well. He was unwilling, but the dream would inevitably awaken. That moment would come sooner or later. Today, after fulfilling his appointment with himself, after drinking that pot of wine, the dream shattered. What is truth and illusion? I, Wang Lin, open my eyes for truth, close my eyes for illusion. The moment these words left his mouth, Wang Lin's right hand, holding Du Fu's, overlapped with the golden mark on his wrist. His aged eyes slowly closed. The moment his eyes closed, images appeared before him. Images he could never forget, that he couldn't bear to lose. Yet, they all vanished as they appeared, scattered into the world. To seek them, he would have to search only in his memory. In those images, he saw himself, Li Muin, and Du Fu sitting on a painted boat. Time froze in that instant. He saw a horse carriage traveling along the official road in the snowstorm, heading toward the snowy mountain village, slowly making its way home. He saw himself and Li Muin in the valley home, happy under the sound of the zither. Their gazes met, and those eyes seemed to become an eternal trace, one that could never be clearly seen again when one turned back. He saw himself sitting on the green stone atop a mountain peak, comprehending the world. For thousands of miles around, countless cultivators bowed in reverence. Among them, he saw the tears of willow eyebrows. He saw himself standing near the volcano of death, pointing at the sky and roaring. He could endure anything, deceive himself in any way, but he could not deceive himself into severing the karmic bond with Li Muin. He couldn't do it. He pointed at the heavens, at the white bird flying across the sky, and roared, asking himself, "Can you sever it? Can you sever it? You can't sever it." He saw a merchant ship struggling against the raging waves in the endless sea. On board, everyone sang the ancient sea chant, embodying the defiance between life and death. He saw a woman holding an infant under a pavilion in the rain. Her icy aura was so cold that it froze the rain. He saw willow eyebrows at the Zhao Kingdom's border, her confused eyes, and in her smile, the elixir she had left behind. He saw his father closing his eyes in his embrace, saw the autumn leaves with souls drifting farther and farther on the roof. He saw his mother's eyes, never to open again, and the smile at the corner of her mouth, as if she had dreamed of his father and was leaving with him. He saw in Sioux City, himself glaring at the cultivator who came to kill him, and with one word, forcing the man to retreat. He saw Su Dao, saw the land of his burial, and saw, in the year when the willow catkins flew, himself as a young man, carrying Du Fu, waiting for a rendezvous on a painted boat. The last thing he saw was a humble inn by the official road. Inside, there was a drunken young man lying on the table, and next to him, a young attendant was frowning, repeatedly trying to push him. "Brother, wake up, Sai. This scholar, 2 cups, and he's completely drunk. This inn will be set up soon. You need to wake up." He saw the drunken young man lift his head, and with bleary eyes, he smiled foolishly and said one thing. "I'll tell you, I just had a dream. I dreamed I became an immortal." At the moment those words, immortal, were spoken, all the scenes turned into blurry fragments. Wang Lin's eyes fully closed, and in that instant, when his eyes shut, the sky collapsed, and everything in the dream vanished. The dream was over. In the black void, called the mansion wall by War Ghost, amidst the blood-red light, The long-haired youth, who had laid there for so long, opened his eyes. Dependent origination and emptiness, wonderful existence and true void. I understand now. Today is my birthday. The transformation from mortal to immortal is complete. My tooth has been aching all day. The wisdom tooth, the one that was broken before, has recently exposed the nerve, causing excruciating pain. Half of my face is swollen. If there are any dental colleagues among the Taoists, please tell me what medicine I can take to relieve the pain or kill the nerve without extracting the tooth. I feel like I'm going to collapse today. Volume 11, Ancient Mysteries.